everyone, and welcome to the Anji Mito Love Talk, Let's Talk About Anji Mito podcast. Woo! I am your host, D. I am joined here again by my co-hosts, Jay. Say hello, Jay.
Hello.
And I am here with three premier Anji lovers from across the globe, as he would. And first up, we have Lapin. Say hello.
Hello.
And what is it that you do, Lapin?
So I enjoy drawing Anji in various situations. It's pretty much what I do. It's all I do, really. I'm also the guy with the Anji tattoo here, so we'll put it at that.
Do you want me to put that up in the stream later, or?
Yeah, sure. I'll send a photo.
Sick. I'll put that in post here right now. Next we have the lovely Saki Sakura, premier Anji player. Say hello.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
Oh, it's going fine. I'm here to talk about Anji and love him. Desperately.
Same. Same. Most desperately, yes.
And last but not least, I have my very lovely TO of my own locals, Mayra Peachytea. Hello, Mayra.
Hey, as Dee had mentioned, I run tournaments here at the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and I've also helped referee at EVO. I'm looking to volunteer at a lot more locals going out, so you'll definitely be seeing me at a lot of those.
And so...
But my biggest thing is...
Oh,
no, sorry.
No, you can go.
I was gonna say, my biggest thing is, I not only host tournaments, I also play in them. I play Anji Mito. Who would have thought?
You have been with Anji for so long. You even
Yes,
play him in Plus R, right?
Yes, I even play him in Plus R. That was my first introduction to him, and I've been obsessed since.
So yeah, I guess I'll start with the leading question. When you were looking at that roster, when you guys were looking at that game, and you saw your eyes drifted across to him, what about it was about Anji that led you to picking him and liking him?
Okay, I'll start here if that's all right. I think there's one very prevalent thing that a lot of people choose when picking Anji, but I'm not gonna say that. When I look for a character, I look more so for personality, and I adapt my own playstyle based off of that character. And Anji's sort of free, like, knowledge-liking, explorative nature, that kind of appealed to me personally.
Anji really has the heavy RPS-style gameplay, so I can understand, like, why you would be able to pick him, because it's like, oh, you can pick any option you want to go about with your gameplay, and then go forth with that. And Anji, that's really represented in his personality well, where it's like, he's a very go-with-the-flow kind of guy.
Oh, 100%. Now, I also like him because of, you know, the RPS, obviously, but also the mix-ups that he has. I sent this image in the general chat, but it was a comment of someone saying, Guilty Gear has many mix-up characters, but Anji's the only gaslighting character. And I live by that. If there's some way that I can pull the wool over my opponent's eyes, I will do that.
I think it kind of plays into, like, Anji's almost slightly villainous nature, in a way, too, where he's very trickstery. Where it's like, oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. He's devious.
Oh, he's a devious fucking guy. Mayra, Saki, what do you guys like about Anji?
Mayra can go first if she.
I was going to say, what first caught my eye about him in Plus R were the big, gorgeous fan. I mean that from like okay, I did dance a lot growing up in high school. I'm a theater kid, if you couldn't tell. But one of the biggest things that captivated me about him was the way that he moved in game. The way that he almost dances with his opponent, and I'm so glad they incorporated a lot of very witty voice lines about that in Strive.
Yeah.
In the sense that he sees combat as a dance, right? Like, he's moving, and his the way that he carries himself is very graceful, in the fact that his moves are big swooshes with the fans, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And that is what immediately I was like, yes, I'm playing this character.
Yeah, no, it really feels like he is one with nature and, like, one with the elements, like, and in that sense, too, he's very one with his emotions as well. Like, it feels like he dances as well as he breathes. Like, it is just so natural for him. And you don't really get that with any other character, where it's like, moving is so easy for him.
Definitely, yeah. Now, I will say that Anji's dance in particular is inspired by Mai, I believe. Which, first of all, beautiful type of dance. Second of all, really awesome that they incorporated that into his character.
That's really cool, actually. I didn't know that. Is that like a theater kind of dance, or is that like...
No, it's a traditional Japanese dance, I believe. Let me just make sure I've got my information right.
during the time being, Saki, would you like to describe what you like about Anji?
Yeah, so Guilty Gear Strive is actually like my first game. So
Same
I
here.
came from like Mortal Kombat, and coming to Guilty Gear, originally when I was playing the beta, I was gonna play Zato because I really liked how cute Zato was.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remember seeing the Anji showcase, and I was just like, I'm in love. And I think, and it's interesting because I think with every patch, I'm always worried about, did they change Anji? Because, you know, I feel like as a player, I have to like outplay a lot with him.
Yeah,
It's not just like as a simple, okay, I have all of this like tools for me. I actually have to like kind of work for my wins. So every patch, like when I see them change Anji pretty drastically and not like actually small changes, I always worry if I'll ever have to like give him up. But the fact of the matter is that I just love this character too much that I'm willing to work with him.
It's gotta be a little heartbreaking that for the longest time your only representation of Anji in majors was like ooey gooey, getting one up on Umisho. But that's kind of like in Anji's nature to like get one up on like the leading guy, especially on Happy Chaos. Now that I think about it. And I think Adventure played a little bit of Anji and GC Yoshi, but they both gave him up. But
yeah, like the only other person really that's like that Anji like god, right?
Oh,
has been
Jiro, right? I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And that's
We're
the
forgetting
thing.
the goat himself,
I
Jiro.
am so sorry. Wait, how did he do in Evo? I didn't even see.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I believe the very first time that he had like a major win with Anji was during Japanese Arc Evo qualifier, and I remember just like the chaos that ensued on Twitter afterwards.
What? Anji won a major?
No,
what?
That's the thing. Yes, everyone's pinging me specifically because to a lot of my friends, I'm the only Anji player in their mind, and so I'm getting like pings and asks specifically like, "Hey, you can't complain about your character anymore. Look, he won a major."
I won't lie, I was just playing right now and I was like, oh wow, I'm doing this Anji combo really well, and then I realized, oh wait, I'm the red Anji.
Yeah. I feel like like going off of what you said, I feel like every Anji player is the only Anji player in their friend group.
Yeah.
No, literally. I don't know if you guys saw, but that art, it's a really gorgeous piece on Twitter, of Anji and his pink ult. I got 3 separate DMs on Twitter and maybe 2 on Discord of everybody going, oh my god, it's your color.
That's your man. Come here, honey, get your man.
Come get your man. Come get your man.
Also, if I can interject real quick, I have like a good definition of the Mai genre of dance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super interested.
It says here that Mai is a more reserved genre of dance that often has circling movements. Dances of the No Theater are sort of this tradition. So, you know, it's literally what Anji's moveset is based off. Those big, circular, sweeping, low-balance motions. It's a very beautiful style, first of all, and second of all, very interesting that they've incorporated it into his character.
You know, I never really noticed before that all of Anji's spins and kicks and everything like that were all circular motions, but now that you said that, I can't unsee it. Like, oh my god, wait, he is literally just moving around in circles over and over, like in a kind of like dizzying way. Hold on, I'm just gonna spectate you guys.
Very fun.
I think to address my own interest in Anji and to kind of echo the sentiments of everybody else thus far, I really like that aspect about him, that he's very presentation and grace and elegance forward, and I think that was one of the major things that brought me to Anji when I was looking at him on the Strive roster, because I had played Plus R and I had played Accent Core and I had played like Exert and stuff, but you know, to varying degrees. I'm still like a super hyper casual. I'm really mostly in it for the lore. But I think the thing that really separated Strive Anji from me was the fact that, you know, he was this somewhat like Bishonen man that was standing among characters like Potemkin and Soul Bad Guy and being treated with like a very equal amount of respect. And in a way that, like, you know, I feel like a character using dance as one of their primary modes of attack would be undermined in another genre or even fighting game, right? But Daisuke has such a genuine love and appreciation for all of his characters that he includes that wholeheartedly and earnestly when it comes to Anji. It's just like, no, he's a man that cares about beauty and he conducts himself this way, and that's cool. And I thought that was excellent. I love how that comes
like,
across in his animations and his interactions.
it's genuinely so incredible how much Anji has a reach in terms of gender. Like, I think Anji is a very gendered character. Like, in everything he does, he represents himself as a man, and it's very important that he represents himself as a man. And I think there's like a very latent, almost transgender allegory that goes on with him, because I was listening to his voice lines earlier, and he has one in specific when he plays against himself that is, I earned the name Anji. What have you done to earn it? Or something along those lines. And it's like, Anji is someone that feels so much pride for himself and is so very masculine in how he does it. And I feel like also, like, he is a reverse, like, or I guess a play on the trope of the shonen woman in a sense, because in every shonen story, you have the man that goes off on a big epic quest for revenge and does this and that, and then you have the woman that stays behind and sits back loving and is it doesn't really do anything important, but it, you know, sets everything up for the man to do everything. And it feels like him and Baiken like are completely plays on that exact idea where, you know, Anji is that woman, but also Anji is a man and like constantly expresses that fact, and it's so cool. Sorry, I realized I went a bit on for a bit there.
No, you're
no
doing
worries.
very well. I'm trying so hard to do anything in Strive right now, but I have not played in about 5 months, and I'm getting my ass beat, so like...
That is completely fine. We're here to just have a good time.
I don't know how to Roman cancel, by the way. I should stress that.
Oh, me neither. That's how much of a casual I am. I'm here for the lore, not to Roman.
I had a super quick question, right? As an Eno player, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. What is Anji's round start options? Like, I know he has...
I do not know.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna play anymore. I'm embarrassing myself.
No, it's fine.
I cannot do 2 things at once, so... I really want to speak on, you know, the transgender allegory of Anji Mito. Especially because there is so much in his story about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, if you want, I can pop in for a couple rounds and you can focus on talking.
That would be so much appreciated. I'm trying so hard here.
You don't have to...
But yeah, I feel there's just a sort of inherent, like, transness to Anji's story. Within his, you know, his entire being, he has this sort of... You know, he embodies the more feminine aspects of things while still portraying, you know, the man. In fact, when, I think... Daisuke, when he was designing Anji, said that he's like the ideal man to him, which first of all, I think that's hilarious. And second of all, it really goes to show how someone can, you know, build themselves up as, you know, these kind of ideal man to themselves, while still embodying aspects of, you know, non-traditional masculinity.
Absolutely.
I think for any other character, it wouldn't exactly be part of the conversation, but I think for Anji specifically, sexuality, romance, gender, and presentation are such a latent part of him, and it comes without any direct mention of it. It is just in how he presents, how he acts, and how he, like, conducts himself, that he is a proud, confident person, and he will go against whatever social conventions are, but he does not care about that at all. He is someone that cares about tradition and what he loves specifically.
He's sort of, in and of himself, he's almost a defiance of the general tropes that he embodies, if that makes any sense.
It makes him really cool, and I think it really makes him stand out completely. Like, obviously, like, we should talk about the elephant in the room now. It's been about maybe 10 or 20 minutes. Anji is fucking hot. And I think Anji also knows that he is. You look at Anji,
and he uses that to his advantage.
He is a sexualized male, and that is so rare for video games. You know, I'm so used to seeing, like, Genshin men where it's like, they don't have any muscle, they don't have any of this and that. They're just, like, they're just beautiful, and they kind of look, you know, with pretty hair and this and that. Or, like, oh, this is just a big, strong man. Obviously, you know, why would you focus on the man? You're gonna focus on the hot girl. But Anji is a hot, sexy man, and he uses that to his advantage. He is all about redirection, misleading you and things like that, and he owns his own sexuality and his own confidence, and it's really cool. Especially for a canonical bisexual character.
I was gonna say, I'm so excited for that, in which that... It came literally out of nowhere with the release of Asuka that we saw that he has a flirtatious voice line with him. And it was kind of always like something that I like to headcanon as a queer person myself. Yeah. I was like, haha, funny, my boy's just like me for real.
Yeah.
And again, in talking about his gender and just like, Anji like does not carry himself as a stereotype. He's quite literally just a man in tune with his emotions. And that is so like nice to see that he is so realistic in his way of like carrying himself and just how he conducts himself, even how he interacts with the rest of the cast. It's in a flirtatious and very like joking manner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's incredibly charismatic, and he's great.
Just real quick, so I can be able to rope Saki into the conversation. You said that you came from Mortal Kombat and that you got into Strive and that you liked Anji. What were aspects of his kit that you really liked?
So for starters, definitely agree. The fact that he's like super confident and just super good looking really helped. It helped me pick him up. But truth be told, it's really the dance, the elegance, and his movement. Like when I saw how he had his parry, essentially that twirl that he does, it really reminded me of how like most characters that I play tend to have that elegant feel. Like, I don't want a character that's just swinging punches, and I don't really want a character that's trying to kind of control spacing with just like throwing out projectiles, and the animation is just like a summoner just like throwing out those projectiles, right?
Yeah, I saw that you had a big thing with PlayStation Plus about women in gaming, and I watched a bit of that, and you said that you picked up and were interested in Mortal Kombat because there were characters that were really graceful in their movement. Is that how you feel about Anji?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. So like, for example, in MK11 I was actually playing Jade, Sindel, and Melina. And when you looked at how like Jade played, she had her pole dance variation, so she was like very much like using her bow staff to actually like unleash attacks and keep them mid-range and long range as well. And then you had Sindel, who was just like this elegant, graceful queen just walking the screen. And even with Mortal Kombat 1 right now, like releasing in a couple of weeks, I was playing the game, and already like there's like 4 or 5 characters that are just super elegant, and one of them being Sindel, that I'm just like, I already know who I'm gonna go and pick and who I'm just gonna actually like stick with for the most part. So when I saw Anji's twirl and Fujin and just how he like plays entirely, that's what just called me to him. And I think it's one of the reasons again why I really stick with him, because he just reminds me of that elegant feel. And with Strive, it's a little faster paced than Mortal Kombat 11, so he matches that without it going too haywire. Like, for example, Milia's super elegant, but I feel like Milia's too much of a fast-paced, execution-heavy character.
Yeah, no, her vortex shit is very difficult to, learn, difficult to lab out, and also she does low damage and is just not worth it. Like, she's a low tier also, so it's just a lot of investment if you pick Milia compared to someone who has, like, better options like Anji.
Yeah, so that's why I would say is what like really attracted me to him. It's just like super funny too, because like this is gonna sound really weird, and I apologize in advance.
No, it's fine.
One of the things that really helps me stay in competition, especially when I was at, like, for example, at Holiday Matsuri and I fought Lord Knight and I beat his Viking. The one thing that helped me like calm my nerves and actually stay focused was literally saying, the abs help. I got saved by on his abs. Because
don't think, feel.
I know his stuff is so high. So every time I got hit by like Lord Knight's tatami setups, I'm just like, the abs will save you. Just focus on the abs and mash. And that's literally what I did.
This is really funny because actually the in-canon reason why Anji doesn't wear a shirt is because getting hit hurts.
Wait, really? What does that mean? Like, he's like, getting hit hurts so much, so I don't wear a shirt so I don't get hit as often, because I'll dodge. He's so silly, oh my god.
He's very silly, I really like him.
This is gonna sound cringe.
That's why I'm here.
This is gonna sound cringe as fuck, so, I apologize. But you said that, and honestly, like, my pupils dilated a little bit. I looked at his windscreen, I'm like, I think I'm in love.
Yeah, I understand completely.
Ugh. And something I wanted to bring up, too, is that, like, Saki was bringing it up, and I think it's very important that Anji seems to have a very strong appeal with people who are AFAB, whether that is like a cis woman, a trans man, or anything, and I think it's just because he is so in touch with his emotions and because he's just so, like, visually stunning and so confident in itself, and it's so refreshing to see and really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Lapin's point earlier too, I think it really is so welcoming and wonderful that Daisuke is making it as clear as possible that there is a place for men like Anji who care about elegance and who want to present that way and have their own notion of manhood, to the point that he is the ideal man. This man who completely eschews societal notions of what a man, quote unquote, should be, is just as valid, if not more, than a character that we would, conflate with traditional masculinity, like Soul Bad Guy. Like, this is the picture of manhood. It's about a state of mind or a performance rather than something that's biologically inherent to the character. I think it's really appropriate that Anji is a performer himself. You know, he's an entertainer. He chooses to assume and embody a role as it suits him, as it makes him happy and fulfills himself. And I think it's so amazing that he's so intent on defining his own path in life that he can convert that self-fulfillment into shepherding other people that he cares about down their own paths too, and express his masculinity that way. You know, with characters like Chip or Delilah, or like really notably Lycan.
I wanted to bring this up, that I think it's very important to bring up. Anji, more than any other character, is defined by the characters he's around, in the sense that he is someone that pushes Baiken. He just found this woman one day and recognized her from his childhood, and she didn't recognize him. We don't actually know how canon that is, and just decided, I'm gonna stick with her, and I want her to be happy, and I want her to be okay. And he saw this child, this orphan, in the middle of nowhere, like crying over rocks and things, and said, I want this person to be okay. I want her to be happy, and she reminds me of this person that I love more than anything. I want her to be all right too.
Yep.
And whether that's as
One
a
little
sister
thing I will
or...
say is that Anji initially struck out from the colony because he wanted to seek out what happened, or like who was responsible for what happened to Baiken's family.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing, his whole motivation for his actions in Guilty Gear XX were just to seek answers, just to know what happened, to find out. Not from a place of revenge, but out of, it seems like, genuine curiosity, because he not once is he vengeful. And he doesn't harbor those negative emotions towards that man.
It's so cool too, like when you think about it from that aspect, that if you strip this from any other character, Anji seems like a villain. Like, he is just doing things because he wants to see reactions. He's doing things because he wants to know everything. He's like a philanthropist. And if you were to twist it the wrong way, it's like, hey, you know, he stole the Zessen from the colony and doomed them all, but that's just because he was curious. He wanted to leave and he wanted to, see what was up. And like, he's chasing after Asuka, but that's also because he doesn't punish him at all, because he just genuinely wants to find out the reason for things, why things are like this.
Yeah, and I was gonna say something. What was it? He does some things that could be considered potentially underhanded, but he does them for the sake of the people around him, regardless of whether those people truly want him to do those things.
Yeah, no, I think Anji could also best be described as that, like, annoying devil on your shoulder, in a sense. Yeah. He's always
I don't even know.
Like, or Angel, I guess. He's just a guy that's constantly bugging you. Like, he is supposed to be annoying in a sense. Which I find really interesting, too, because when he finds Chip and he sees what Chip is doing, he calms down. Anji is someone that is so impulse-based and just like, I'm gonna go with the flow, I'm gonna learn everything, I don't care about the consequences, I'm just gonna do this because I want to, and that's what to live means. And he finds Chip, and Chip is like that times 100, where Chip is all instinct, not a lot of thinking, but Chip has a heart of gold, and he sees this in Chip and is like, maybe I should temper myself a bit. I need to be the rock for him. Like, something I think about is when they chase after Happy Chaos, and they both have a reason to chase him, because Anji's like, this is for Baiken, this is for Delilah, and Chip just immediately starts to run, and normally this would be Anji that would immediately go to start running and make a decision like this, but he's just there to temper Chip and be like, no, we should stay safe, we should be careful, we should really think about this logically and rationally, which is crazy because he is so heart-based.
It's like when you and your friend both have anxiety, but one of you is more anxious than the other, so one of you has to go and order the food.
Yeah.
Anji is the one that winds up ordering the food for the both of them.
I am so horrible when it comes to drive-thrus. Every time I need to get something, I'm like, Jay, you order. But then Jay, whenever we go to order drive-thru, he'll just be like, let me think for a bit.
Because I'm also anxious.
So then I sit there gripping the steering wheel, and I'm like, no, what am I gonna
Yeah, exactly. That really is how, like, Chip and Anji's dynamic is, because they both have similar, like, I guess they both have similar brains, but both of them portray it in very different ways. Anji is a more outwardly cool and collected person, whereas Chip, he's just kind of, he does whatever comes to his mind immediately.
Yeah, I wanted to hit on those comparisons to shonen that we were making a little bit earlier too, and say that it's really interesting that we have those traditional shonen protagonists in Guilty Gear, like Chip and like Sin, who you could say are those hot-headed boys guided by intuition, and then Anji, who is pretty much the same thing, is a neat subversion of that, being kind of devoted to his own sense of justice and intuition, but he's still really composed and thoughtful, like we've been saying. And I think, to harken back to what we were just talking about too, I really love the fact that he's not out there confronting people to battle them and to get stronger or to enact revenge. Like, he's still a man who is in touch with his emotions. He's trying to connect with people and to understand them and try to get context for the insane actions that shape the fucked up world that he inhabits. You know, he's not trying to pursue some sort of like self-destructive self-righteousness. He's there because he really appreciates and loves and is intrigued by people at his core. And I think that's why he's so capable of molding himself to whatever sort of shape he needs to be, to help people out, like Viken and like Chip. Because it's fun to say like, oh well, he's a bit of a tricky kind of like weaselly guy, but I feel like there's almost something more to him than that. I think it's maybe more accurate to say that like he's adaptable. He likes to have fun, but because his foremost thought is, let me help other people, let me protect them and guide them in any way that I can, he's willing to become what they need to have in their lives. Just as, he took on the role of Anji Mito for himself. He earned this mask to inhabit. Like, he's like, let's try to guide them to their own place.
Something I want to bring up too is we don't even know if Anji is his real name. I think Anji is one of the only characters to have a fake name. Like, obviously we have Soul Bad Guy, but that's just what he became kind of. But Anji is
this could be the inherent transgenderism of both Soul Bad Guy and Anji Mito.
Real,
but
yes.
I think it's a story for another day.
Real, true, factual, historical.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's like the beautiful paradox of Anji, because like, yes, Anji Mito is like a quote unquote fake name, it's not his real name, but at the same time, like, that's exactly who he is. He is Anji Mito. Like, he created this identity for himself.
He's created his own persona to suit himself outside of the colony.
Exactly. Like, he will not let people come in and define him. He'll only choose what he wants to do and what he wants to be to help other people. He's not going to let someone control him. And I think that that's really great. But to loop back a little bit further too, with regards to the comment about Batman, that's another thing that I love about him so much. Like, I think it says so much about his character that his first instinct when he meets the man who he thinks destroyed his home country and nearly eliminated like his history and culture and like ruined the life of one of the most important people in the world to him in Viken, like, his first instinct is to try to get to know him, not to like go out of his way to really.
Why did this all happen? Because Anji's already thought ahead, where he's like, Anji is kind of like an optimist. He's thinking, hey, everything that's happening, all the good that magic has caused, if it's truly an endless energy source, if truly all of our wishes can be achieved, why did everything have to end up so horribly? Like, Anji is a thinker. He ponders the reasons for things, and it's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's because, like, just like how he was unwilling to let society define who he could be, it's the same way for his impressions of other people. He won't let them be colored by outside influences and what people have said. He doesn't care what people have said about that man. He is going to meet him personally and decide for himself, who does he think that man is. There's no idea of like the international terrorists. It's just this is a person. I'd like to get to know them.
Also, in Viken's arcade mode, it's like Anji is the one that chooses what Viken knows, and he decides, I think Viken should know as little as possible, and I'm going to shield her from this. Anji wants to be the only one that knows the truth and wants to decide what other people know, and it's very selfish of him, but it also comes from like a place of sincerity, that like, he wants the world to be what he thinks it is. Something I wanted to bring up too is that I don't see it talked about ever, but I think Anji and Viken specifically are very political characters, and that I think both of them were written in response to the travesties of World War II and everything that has happened to Japan, with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Obviously, they are both victims of nuked battlegrounds and monsters and misshapen things that beyond their comprehension. And there is nothing that they can do about it. Everything they know, everything they love, their homes are completely gone. That they are the only survivors, and the only thing they can ask is why. I think that's directly like how Japan was citizens were feeling after like events like that, and probably Daisuke was channeling that kind of feeling into his work, where he's like, I know this happened. I don't feel good about it. There is nothing I can do about it. The world has moved on, but hundreds of thousands of people are gone, and all I can ask is why. What causes humanity to act like this? What causes us to be like this, and how do I recover from this? I feel like Anji specifically in his quest for knowledge is about that.
Definitely, yeah. Now, if you don't mind me interjecting here, I have a lot to say on this matter.
Just
First
one
of all,
second.
I'll preface this by saying I am indigenous, and, you know, I have family who live on reserve. So this part of Anji's story is especially poignant to me. The fact that he is controlled and monitored by the government in an isolated setting, almost not too dissimilar from a reserve. Now, obviously, the stories of, you know, World War II and colonialism are two separate entities, but I feel as though there is, you know, the smallest bit of overlap in solidarity with this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely.
And
like
there is a certain guilt that comes with it, of being almost captive, and of being forced to kind of, I guess, masquerade within one's own culture. And in Anji's sort of entire being, there's that sense of, you know, I guess almost discomfort, that sense
Like,
of almost, you know,
there's that
what am I
feeling-
doing? Am I playing or performing?
Yeah, there's that feeling of it doesn't matter what you are, it doesn't matter what you look like. People are looking at you, they are judging you, and they don't like what they see. What do you do about it?
Exactly.
And it's cool.
It's such.
like
It's so. Sorry, you can go.
No, I just think it's cool that it related to you on that kind of personal level. I know I was talking about like the World War II aspect of it, but I think obviously it does relate to other kinds of cultures and minorities as well. And
Exactly.
like it's really cool that he had that reach on you.
And I feel it's important for characters to discuss difficult topics like that, even if not directly. Having that, you know, that potential relation point to someone can be the big difference between enjoying and not enjoying a character.
Saki, would you like to play around with me?
Sure.
Yeah, I
know-
need to not play Guilty Gear because I'm going to lose my focus, but regardless.
Saki,
Is this-
real quick, yeah, Saki and Mayra, are there any gameplay aspects that you really like, or that you would want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to kind of circle back because I do have to leave in a little bit.
No worries.
But I wanted to like talk about, because there was a question about like round start options and
Yeah.
things like that. I do have a video about like how to kind of counter with Anji, but I can definitely cover a little bit about that since I like play with him a lot in that aspect.
That would be
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, so for starters, you know, we've talked about like how Anji can be like that mix-up character that's not really real per se, right?
Yeah,
But
it's all about guessing on RPS, but
Mhm.
Yeah. So this one, his close slash into 2S is quite a common like frame trap type combo. And what's really cool about this is that like he gets a lot off of it. So, but right there I kind of just blew up the butterfly and kind of showed that if you're not gonna frame trap it, it is gonna be kind of tough to get out of that pressure. And then of course there's that code that's like really good for like anti-airing, which I like. Truthfully, coming from a game like Mortal Kombat, when you have Strive that has like such a good anti-air options, like with 6P, and then of course there's these special moves, it really comes into play. But for the round start, what I like to do personally is I like to actually throw out far slash just because of how good it reaches.
yeah, I imagine it
you-
interacts immediately with the opponent, so it's good to start off on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course one other one is of course spin. It is a bit of a slow startup, but it's still worth doing it. Another thing too that I like is doing the 2K into 2D. This was what we kind of like call the butterfly loops. And you're able to just set up your Oki and have like a really good time. And just straight up like understanding what your opponent's trying to do. If your opponent's like trying to press quickly or press constantly, using butterfly to catch them off guard and then getting those counter hits are really good.
Butterfly is fake and you can jump and counter it if you expect it, right? I know a lot of Anji's offense is like, hey, there are counter options for this, you just have to lab it and figure out what to do for each option, but also you have to expect what option's gonna happen next. So he is a very
Absolutely.
lab-heavy character to go against.
Yeah, if you want to throw out your butterfly, I can actually kind of see. So like there, I tried to backdash. That really kind of stops, like allows you to kind of come in. I can also just do that and get out of the second hit if you're not advancing. Another thing too, right, is after this, if I go here to do that, close slash or far slash is what we call a frame trap. So this, even if you're trying to do, I think if you're trying to do a heavy DP, it'll catch it because they removed the invulnerability frames. Yeah, pretty much. You'll be able to actually stop some of those options, and people get really anxious, right, when they see that like they can't press. So what they'll do is they'll try to like figure out, and then you as the Anji player, you can do something like this, right? Where I could do 6H, and then this is all me in the corner, right? And allow myself to get wall break. I'm the type of player that I want my positive bonus, so I will break the wall every chance I get. Ideally with this new like patch season 3, and there's his fish, of course. But with this season 3 patch, Wild Assault gives you a hard knockdown when you break the wall with it.
Yeah,
and that's huge for Anji.
I think that's bullshit a little bit. Like, oh my god, every character has to build 50 meter to get hard knockdown, and now every single character has universal hard knockdown. I think that's insane, but yeah. It's gonna make season 3 very interesting, and I'm glad to hear that it helps improve Anji and his weaknesses.
Yeah, so one big thing that I remember when I was trying to ask for changes in Anji is better Oki situations. So for example, this here, Mirare, not only are you able to like pressure and stop people from pressing, but I can do a hard knockdown as well. And just more opportunity to throw butterfly is better for Anji. It may be fake, but you're now in control of like the mix-up, and you're able to actually like take part of like take control of the matches, which is really, really important, especially when you're trying to like outplay.
You said that you really, oh my god, I forgot what exactly it was you said. I apologize, but do you feel like Anji lets you express your own play style when you play him? Like what is it that you like to prefer when you play Anji?
So perfect example here, this is gonna be like where I feel like I strive the most, and like if someone was trying to do like a how do you beat Saki, right? Like this right here is exactly where I feel like I strive the most. So like trying to get you to the corner and actually kind of abusing the plus frames that he has here is actually like really good. So using the Ichishiki to actually advance on you, as well as apply pressure, and just kind of keep you in this corner, guessing for like if you're not gonna press, this is exactly where I want to be. So this is the part where I feel like Anji really helps me express my style, that I could just keep pressing buttons and you have to take the risk. I don't really have to.
I think it's really cool that his gameplay allows you to express yourself uniquely as a person too, because it almost harkens back to what Lapin was talking about. And I think it's really prudent to mention colonialism and transness in equal measure with regards to Anji's character, because I feel like oftentimes with characters of this nature, you'll see things like traditional or cultural history that comes at odds kind of with personal expression or freedoms. But Anji shows that, you know, these two things can coexist. For as much as Anji is his own person who won't be defined by others, he also chooses to accept some standards from a society as they suit him. You know, he's delighted by some elements of his own traditional Japanese culture, like Mai dancing, like Lapin mentioned, and he folds that into himself, showing that, you know, tradition, his own self, and modernity can kind of exist harmoniously if you want them to, and it's literally up for you as an individual to decide.
And alongside that, there's something to be said about, you know, his attire as well. Despite the fact that it's slightly alternative to what you would traditionally see with Mai dancing, it's also, you know, another expression of the self whilst still tying back into his cultural roots.
I noticed that everyone left the room. Mayra, are you still coming on? And Saki, are you heading out?
Yeah, unfortunately I do have to go because of the time, but this was really awesome, and I really appreciate talking with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that you were able to join. I think I might stay on a little bit longer because I think there's still things I want to discuss with Lapin and maybe Mayra if she sticks around. But thank you so much for joining us and like for giving me such a huge gameplay scoop about Anji. I really appreciate it. And I'll be sure to link your Twitch channel and other YouTube things in the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining me and joining us.
Thank you, and
Thank you.
have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, have a
Thanks
great
again.
night.
Thanks for all the advice.
Yeah, always happy to help.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye. I realize at this exact moment that perhaps getting someone that only knows gameplay might be a bit of a flaw in the podcast structure, but I hope she feels okay, and I think she still had a good time, I hope.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I think it's a
part of-
much needed perspective.
Yeah.
like I said when I first started, I wanted to make sure I provided everyone's perspectives on why each person liked their character, and even if it was something as simple as I think they're sexy, like I still want that something that to be represented in how people like their character, because you know, who am I to decide what someone likes about something? And this is still a fighting game after the end of everything, and I just think it's really wonderful that people can love characters despite anything.
For someone like me, who is a 100% absolute beginner to fighting games, Strive is my first fighting game, and I've only logged, like, maybe 25 hours in the actual gameplay part of it. Spent a lot of time modding figure mode, though. I'm not gonna say. But to have that sort of perspective is very, you know, it's good for someone like me, who's a very much so beginner. While I might not understand some of the terms, I can get the general feel for it, and I'm sure everyone else can get a general feel of it as well.
I consider,
And I think-
I think myself, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, where I understand the fighting game aspects. I really love competing, and I really love the lore. I'm just not particularly fantastic at the gameplay aspects. But it's like I watch content constantly. I watch the streamers. I understand what's happening. It's just, you know, I myself cannot perform to that level. And there's also
and I feel like that is relatable for a lot of people. Jester, I know you want to say something. I'll let you speak in one moment.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people who participate in the game and who love the game, but who just can't seem to obtain that professional level. And obviously that is a little bit of a roadblock, but I feel like opening the doors up to more casual play is a great way of just having fun, even if you want to learn and train more.
Yeah, absolutely. Mayra, is there anything else you wanted to add about Anji? I know you've been a bit quiet, so. Mayra? Oh god, we
she
lost her.
might be busy at the moment, but
That's alright.
I guess to kind of bring in the thing that I was going to mention, I think Saki's perspective is really valuable because gameplay is as much of a part of a character's portrayal as things like dialogue and the lore.
100%.
I think the notion that Anji is a character that plays in a way that, you know, kind of encourages you to express yourself and to sort of figure out your own combos is really relevant to who he is. And also the fact that he's a little tricky and he tries to bait your opponent into believing a certain thing so he can try to get a leg up on them. I think is also very core to his character. So I don't think it's really accurate to say that you can get a full impression of something like a fighting game character maybe just from their lore or just from their gameplay. So that's why I think it's super, super good to have discussions like this and to say like, oh, well, you know, I don't read so much about the lore, but I know this character to play like the back of my hand because that is a really integral part of their design. But yeah,
You're very interconnected.
Absolutely.
But I will say now, since I guess Saki is gone and Mayra seems to have disappeared, rest in peace.
Hold on, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sorry, I connected to the campus Wi-Fi and it just absolutely murdered Discord.
Ah.
Understandable.
So I wasn't even muted, I was sitting here the whole time. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I just wanted to go back to gameplay because
Yes.
Midari really and Wild Assault really do fix the biggest like issues that Anji had. Because I remember I tried to play him on release of the game and he was certainly not where he is now. So I'm actually so incredibly grateful that he's received the buffs that he did, because yes, he did need them to become a fully fledged character in this game.
I still
And
think
while
it
the
was
Soul-
totally bullshit that Anji's spin, the entire point of his character, was something that every character could PRC out of and grab him for. Like,
Oh no, that's the thing. It was even worse on the Eno front. Like it was like Eno and Soul particularly had the absolute worst iterations of PRC to get out of spin. And so the fact that I can now like punish PRC is incredible, and it does so much for his game plan and for just his way of playing.
something I wondered too, was he getting okay Oki off of Butterfly? Like, did he not, does Wild Assault help with that at all? Because I think I remember hearing Jiro once saying something about Butterfly Oki not being the best in the game or anything like that.
it's not fantastic because if your opponent has a tool to either get under it or just not have to deal with it, then they don't have to hold it at all. Like Eno has stroke, Soul has whatever is the one that drags across the floor of the stage.
Yeah, the bad super.
That
Oh wait,
fucking
oh
thing
yeah, I
that
was
I
sorry.
hate.
Night Raid maybe.
It
Yeah.
might be Knight Raider, but or even Souls like Gunflame as well. If I just like stood in neutral and tried to do a butterfly, I could just Gunflame and we just like clash in a weird or funny way. And like Eno Stroke, things like that, moves that went under butterfly especially, were things that those characters simply did not have to hold. So Wild Assault, essentially what it does is it lets him follow up in places where typically he wouldn't, just because of his movement speed.
Was there examples where he wouldn't be able to follow up?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, because the way that I used to use butterfly was essentially to kind of control the space in front of me. And the way in which I would do that was just kind of get a knockdown butterfly, and that was the only situation in which I felt safe enough to do butterfly.
Yeah, 2K2D butterfly,
anything-
bread and butter. There we
Yeah.
go. Or I think he has a low with his Fujin too, right?
Yes, Fusion,
Nagiha. That's it.
Nagiha, yes, that's the low. So I spoke about it on my stream a little bit earlier this week, like when reviewing the stuff. I was like, yeah, you can take all of his counter hits off of Fusion away, but now that I have a follow-up, like my butterfly Ogi, I can get it more consistently, and I can get it in a way that's more useful to me, because of the fact that Midaren now I believe it hard knocks. And so that is just another situation in which you now have to deal with butterfly on wake up, because that is the most terrifying place to have to deal with it. Because on wake up you really do have to hold butterfly.
Oh, something I wanted to bring up that I thought was very silly is the fact that Anji can't ever seem to get straight buffed. Like, he always has to get nerfs in other spots where he has to, like, change his routing and stuff, like with Nagiha and, like, 5H, I believe, too, where it's like, oh, Daisuke, you're so silly.
The thing with Anji Mito is he's a character that, at the intermediate to high level, I'm gonna say this, I guess, like, just because I have no other better way to, like, differentiate, but all the top players have answers to Anji.
Yeah.
Anji is really only a threat from the mid to low level, because players don't really ever see a character with a parry mechanic or with a spin mechanic, and that's what makes it hard to deal with him at those levels. And so the way Anji works is he is a character that if Daisuke were to just straight up give him Midare and leave everything else, he would be a menace in the lower tiers of play.
I heard Hotashi say this like 2 years ago, or maybe it was Seijam, one of them, but they were like, you can't straight up buff Anji, and you can't, like, give him too much, because of the way his kit is designed, it'll just completely break him and there will be no answer to anything. And that's the problem, you know, like with some parry characters, is that you can't make every option the best option ever. You have to make it so that you make a conscious choice. I need to do this to solve this problem, and really mind game them. And unfortunately, yeah, there are options to Anji's offense, but it is cool when you actually do get that solid knockdown, you get that Oki that you want, and then finally you're able to complete the combo and do what you want to do.
There is a delicate Anji ecosystem that you've got to respect.
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say Anji is a character that just heavily relies intricately on conditioning. And it is literally just, each player will play Anji differently, and I think that is what is so cool about his kit and the way that it works, is that no two Anji players will ever play the same. They're gonna have different situations because that is just what is ideal to them. Me, I like doing, there's this one like combo that I specifically do that every other Anji looks at it and they're like, this is weird. And it's like, yes, but again, this is just what works for me, and this is how I like to get my Oki off, and this is how I like to get my rock, paper, scissors situation initiated.
It goes back to the old argument that was on Twitter like 6 months ago, where it's like, there's no such thing as combo expression, there's only the optimal combo. Don't think otherwise. And I believe Seijam had a really good response to it, where it's like, you're not gonna go for that optimal combo all the time. Sure, that's that we think, but I have this amount of meter right now, or I'm in this position right now, and I think I want to go for this, which leads me with less reward, but I am more comfortable with, and leads me with this much resource, and that is my decision. Like, I want to prioritize my meter, so I'm gonna use Wild Assault here, or or vice versa, and things like that. And I think Anji affords the opportunity like that, and I think he is a very combo expressive character in that way. Like, much like he is, Anji is very expressive.
100%. And even in the more casual sphere of things, if you don't sort of, I guess, understand the mechanics of the game, you can still just have fun twirling around.
Woo! I'm twirling right now in training mode.
Exactly.
Woo!
I just wanted to put it out there as we're potentially drawing in a little bit on our time. I wanted to make sure that Lapin got an opportunity to share his slides. I'm not sure if he's been able to hit on
absolutely.
everything
They're
he was
not
talking
like
about.
actual slides, they're just sort of,
Notes.
what Anji is about, and we've pretty much covered all of that already.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I just wanted to make sure that we hit all that. I did not want to.
No worries. We hit all the marks.
Okay, but is there any like specific facts that or anything that you want people to know? Because I know I am extremely interested in your Anji thoughts.
So one of my favorite things is actually his very minute interactions with Johnny. Now, you wouldn't expect Anji and Johnny to have much interactions
They
with
do?
one another, but they, alongside Slayer and Bridget, have a really interesting and unique set of interactions in the Guilty Gear DS game. So in the arcade mode of that DS game, of course, every single character has their own little path and storyway.
Oh, I know
It's
where
where
this
the
is going.
iconic "So you think I'm interested in men too" line from Anji comes from. The context is a little different, but like they're talking about Bridget being interested in Slayer, like from a bounty hunter standpoint. But as soon as Anji says that, Johnny comes in with like, "What are you talking about?" And Anji immediately backpedals, which I think is one, hilarious, and two, kind of emblematic of the kind of ever-shifting personality that Anji has, that when he's around other people, he kind of changes himself up to suit their needs. But it's also just funny.
He's walking in thinking, "Oh wait, we're talking about gay sex. This is awesome. Oh
Yeah.
wait, oh you meant bounty hunting. Oh,
I get it now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I've killed
dude,
people
I've
before.
hunted men before. I mean,
He presents gender is just really funny throughout Guilty Gear. And like he has such an interesting way of doing it that I don't think I've ever seen in like a piece of like Japanese media, because like typically a lot of like characters that are queer are not handled with the best graces in Japanese media, but the way that Daisuke just like slips it into their stories, like we wouldn't have even known if he hadn't, like, if Asuka never came into Strive.
Absolutely, and I appreciate like how insistent he is about that fact too. To mention what we said like much earlier on about Anji being his ideal view of a man, and I feel like to a degree he really embodies one of Guilty Gear's like kind of core thesis statements, right? That we're all human, but we're all unique, and no matter how much we ourselves might sometimes try to shut out the fact that we're people deserving of respect, or that society might try to suppress it, that every single human being is a beautiful, unique individual, worthy of love and understanding just by virtue of being alive. So I really like that Daisuke is always trying to depict a different permutation of the human experience and never really devaluing or discrediting any of them. Like he treats all of his characters with so much respect and care, and this is something that we mentioned a little bit with the ABBA video already, but I think absolutely bears repeating when you're talking about someone like Anji.
There is one Ishiwatari quote that I want to bring up about this. It was, an interview a while back talking about Testament in particular. Like, now obviously I'm pretty sure
remember
things
this.
have changed.
I know what you're
in
gonna talk
terms of
about.
Pardon?
I said I think I know which Daisuke quote you're going to bring it up, and I can't wait to discuss it.
Yeah.
It's such a good
Because
quote.
he's just like me for real.
It's during, obviously, as I said, interview about Testament, discussing their identity and whatnot. And Ishiwatari said something along the lines of, "They're androgynous. In fact, they've transcended human existence, just like me." Which, first of all, awesome. Second of all, I think that gives us a lot of context as to how Ishiwatari treats his, genderqueer, LGBT plus, non-binary, etc. like characters. Because he's got this, like, obviously I don't want to speak for him, but it seems like he's got this general idea and respect for things, because, obviously you generally have that, but he himself says, just like me, they've kind of transcended existence. And I respect that.
I'm sure that in some way Anji feels himself that he has transcended some forms of existence, that he is like
Definitely.
achieved his own nirvana, cultivated his own garden.
But in that sense, I feel like there's still with Anji a lot of like work to be done in his mind.
Yeah.
He's very much so, as we said, a character who is defined by his relationship with other characters. And in offering his, services or advice or whatever to those characters, he kind of builds himself up in, like, I don't want to say selfish, but it's almost a selfish way. He does them out of his own ideals, not anyone else's.
I think it's almost like, you know, how we see symbiosis in nature, which is like a really nerdy kind of pretentious thing to say, but like it's like mutualism where there's something in it for Anji and there's something in it for the person that he's helping, you know. In viewing Baiken's struggle to avenge her family, and you know the way that she's contorted herself to become the monster she thinks she needs to be to avenge them, I think he got to understand himself so much better, and then also to approach a deeper understanding about the world that he lives in too. It was because I think she set him on the path of meeting Asuka that he was able to grow as a person, and then bring that back to her and say, hey, this doesn't have to be your reality. You don't have to let this control you. You can choose to become Baiken, a loving, full human being on your own. You don't have to shoulder this burden.
Hey, real
And
quick.
you know, in
Super quick. Hey, Mayra, I'm playing training mode right now, and does Anji's JH just suck, or am I just pilled where my JH rules?
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's awful. If you're gonna do any jumping move, you're actually wait, no, his JH is really good to get in.
Am I just
scratch that? I don't know if they've changed it.
I don't think they have. I feel like I can't do anything with it.
The problem is it's not supposed to. As in his JH specifically, I've kind of started to use it to get in, because I remember like specifically my boyfriend, he plays a little bit of Anji to help me out, and in the sense that I always kept doing JS on my jump-ins, and he was like, oh my god, why are you doing that? That is the worst button you could press. Because JH has, it's a little slower, I will give it that.
That's what I'm
noticing.
It
covers more space. That is the thing. It's a much bigger move, which is why it is inherently better to do than JS. At least on jumping.
Thank you. I am noticing that. Like, I feel like I'm playing this right now, and I can see the exact same, I guess, mistake that you were making, because I feel like I'm using JS, and it's covering way more space, which I really like, and it allows me to get my game moving. But I'm hitting JH, and, like, obviously the hit is bigger, but it's so slow, so it's hard to get used to. But I imagine when you do get used to it, you can do a lot more with it.
Yeah, kind of.
Lapin, if you want to go back to what you were saying, I'm sorry for the small interjection.
No worries. What were we talking about beforehand?
Jay?
I was talking about how, even though it seems like Anji's being selfish with his relationship with Baiken, that it really is out of interest for the both of them. That he's adaptable, but it's because, he's trying to learn, he's trying to teach.
And he gets to do that for a lot of people. Like in Baiken, he gets to elaborate upon sort of the generational suffering that they've shared, and show her that there is kind of more to life than revenge. Especially with showing her, like, the mirror of Baiken. And, with someone like Chip, he gets to explore another man's body, and I'm sure Chip wasn't getting anything before that, so...
Yo, Answer, check out my
I could
body!
actually talk about, like, Anji and Chip's relationship, because they do mean a lot to me. They have a very specific bond with one another that I feel, like, only gets explored in something like Answer and Chip beforehand, because, they're both his hands, I guess.
Could it perhaps...
Part of that is for the Answer episode, part of this is for, they work with each other for, mutual benefit. And I feel like, in the games beforehand, Anji was the one teaching Chip about Japan when he expressed interest in it. And in that, Chip also gets information from Anji. It's a win-win situation. And like you said, it's mutualism, really.
Alright, so what you're saying is that, they sex with a man. Sex with a man Monday. But it's really nice that they...
Here we go.
What the fuck?
I love Discord's new features.
It's great. Let me hit you with the.
It's fantastic.
There we go. But yeah, there
should be a pounding
really
on
inherent
Bruce
mutualism for Anji.
But it's really nice that they had that teacher-student relationship, because obviously Chip wants to know about Japan more than any other any other person in existence, and Anji wants to share his culture with everyone, and also wants to learn everything else in the world. So it's almost like in a relationship sense that Anji is teaching Chip, like, the basics of how to, what his culture is like and how to save it, and Chip is teaching Anji how to live.
Exactly. I feel like with Chip in particular, obviously he's got this thing with him where everyone immediately loves him when they meet him. I mean, not to say the Guilty Gear fandom necessarily enjoys him, because they all make silly jokes about him, but
Yeah,
you've seen it with, like, Venom, for example, that Chip himself kind of draws people in. And I feel like for Anji especially, that's incredibly, like, helpful and healthy for him, because he has someone to actually talk to. Someone that, despite how many faces or names he takes on, he can always return to, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you're saying, like, Chip is his home now, even though, like, he's not even at the colony anymore. Now that he's in Eastern
a way,
Chip
yeah.
Kingdom, like...
He's kind of established, you know, I guess I'll call it a home, but, or like, I don't want to call it a family, because that's not necessarily what it is, but he's established bonds with these people in these ways. That he can actually return to someone for once, instead of wandering.
And I think it's
Because, you
so
know, he's
cool
been on
too
the run from
because
the government forever.
something I really like is that Anji is completely off camera for Exer, which sounds weird. I know it's like, oh, you're not getting more of Anji, but it's like he went off screen, he explored the world, he learned everything, he met with Asuka, he knows the truth of Guilty Gear, he even knows of Happy Chaos. He has learned everything, and off screen he even finds Chip and is joining him on his quest to establish a nation where his people can be happy. And like, this all just happens, and he learns these lessons, and then he immediately just teaches these lessons to Baiken. I have found my own happiness by exploring and being my own person and moving on, and I hope by example that you could learn the same thing. And she does.
Exactly.
Like, he gives her a reflection of herself, and she takes it and finally sees herself for the first time. And it makes me feel so happy that he was able to see himself as well.
Yeah. I really like the... Oh, you just unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just gonna say I really like the point of that is that he doesn't undermine Baiken's autonomy in doing so. Like he lets her kind of go on her own quest. I say lets as if, you know, he's the person in charge of it, but not even like the fact that he doesn't undermine the thing that she's trying to do, even if he doesn't completely agree with it, because they're both their own people who deserve to be able to orient themselves in the world. He just is like, okay, well, this is the gentle push that I'll give you so you can find out who you want to be.
Yeah, that's a very, like, poignant thing about people. He will lead the horse to water, but he will not make them drink.
Now, don't forget that in Strive, our introduction to Anji, after many, many years and many non-canon games, after, like, I think 15 years of not seeing him, is he walks by on a magical thing that we don't even comprehend and I've never seen him do with, on a cloud of butterflies, rips the hood off a car, sees Oscar Arquois, the devil, a man that he is aware of and is just curious about, says, "Oh, it's you. It's him. Okay, bye." Like, Anji is the arbiter of his own fate. He is
his whole purpose was leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
His whole storyline from XX was, I want to find that man. I want to find out what really happened.
And then he just finds him, and it says, "Oh, so that's how it is. Okay." And I think it's just, that's an immediate, like, perfect encapsulation of his character. It's like, Anji is beautiful, Anji is deadly, and Anji will do exactly what he wants, but he will all do it in the pursuit of knowledge. He will figure out what he wants, and then he will make his own decisions. Nothing in the world will influence him. And I think it's really funny, too, that they spend so long before this scene, like, describing how impenetrable the car is, how Giovanna's a perfect driver, and that there's nothing in the world that could get in between the president and Asuka at that moment. And then Anji just casually sweeps by all the security and shit and just does what he wants. That's so cool.
Here comes bisexual number 3.
Oh,
like...
Oh, something I wanted to bring up, too, is when he sees Happy Chaos, and this is the true menace that has nuked everything, that has ruined his life, that has ripped apart the people that he loves, and that this is where his pursuit of knowledge has taken him. And it's from chasing after Chip and going after him and looking into his eyes. Anji uses his own perception to get what he wants and, like, how he looks. So for Happy Chaos to immediately look into his eyes and immediately freeze him, I feel like that's symbolic. Like, Anji for so 100%. Long was able to get whatever he wanted by speaking and, like, acting above the law in a sense, and then all of a sudden here comes a guy that is above that. It, like, unknowable demon, and that, like, paralyzes him completely. And what is it that saves him? Well, it's the people that he loves, the flesh and blood, that go in and run after him and save him, which is really cool. And it's such a small moment.
Such a cool moment. I feel like that's the moment that really made me fall in love with Anji. Just, like, his chase with Chip and his, almost self-sacrifice to, bring him back up.
It's
Hold
just
on, I
really...
might be confusing things here, but I know
Yeah,
one of
I
them
know
falls
what
off the cliff, one of them saves him. You get what I
Yes.
mean. It's such a strong moment that shows these bonds that he has forged, and yet he's so nonchalant about it.
Something I want to bring up too is that in Western movies, it's always the girl that falls off and the guy saving him. And in this case, it's two fully buff, fully normal
Grown-ass dudes.
Grown-ass dudes. I was watching, I forgot what I was watching, but I think I was watching Germa, and he was just talking about, like, yeah, I've been saying the phrase grown-ass man recently, and I can't stop laughing. And I'm feeling the exact same, like, every time, I just keep saying grown-ass man, like... What are you as a grown-ass man playing with fans?
Yeah.
No, but I'm trying to say something cool here. No, I just like the grown-ass man playing with fans aspect of him. Because despite everything, despite the sincerity and the seriousness that goes into Anji's character, he is, like, just some guy moving fans around. And obviously not to diminish from the actual, like, cultural impact of Mai and fan dancing, etc., but you do have to admit it is a little comical, especially with the size of his fans, as typically it would be done with, like, slightly smaller fans, but,
Don't forget
Either way.
that, like, he's referred to as a geisha, which is a woman-only role. And he's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean geisha? and like,
I have, going off of, if we're going with the transgender theming of Anji Mito, I have no doubt that he was, like, at least slightly trained in the art, but, he could embody some of that, but overall it's just, like, kind of geisha, and then, yeah.
God, I love how his cape moves around as he walks. Oh, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I guess, like, two last topics before I say I'll cut it. What are aspects of his design that you both guys like? Like, just looking at him. And this could be from Plus R or Strive or anything.
So, in terms of his actual character language, evolving from where he was when Guilty Gear first started and looking at him now, I feel they've done a little bit more to kind of push him design-wise. Because looking at the silhouette of Anji Mito, he's instantly recognizable, which is a primary hallmark of a good character design. But alongside that, just his posturing and the way he is signals almost confidence, and it signals the bravery that he has within himself. I enjoy, obviously, Guilty Gear's obscenely gaudy designs, and with Anji Mito, I feel like they really push that to a certain limit, with, how many bells and bobs and whistles and belts he's got. I just enjoy the fact that they've also, taken his traditional cultural wear and modified it in a way that suits, the fighting game and the personality that Anji has himself.
I know when I look at Anji, I think he looks really comfortable. Like, he's wearing these big flowing pants.
So cozy.
He's got the
Like,
jacket
I
around.
would go everywhere in, like, pants that are, like, cozy. I really do love the way that his, like, character looks from afar, because he's got these robes draped over him and he looks very well put together. And one thing that stands out from him than other Guilty Gear characters is, again, the cultural ties. He still wears the articles of his culture, even though in this, again, timeline and in this universe, Japan no longer exists. He still chooses to carry those garments. Yeah, exactly. He still chooses to carry those garments, and he still chooses to carry that part of his history. And that's what I really like about his and Baiken's designs, that they still have this very cultural feel to their clothes, that it's not like Leia Whitefang wearing 3 belts.
Leo's wearing 3 belts, is wearing a, like, luxurious fur coat, and has, like, a turtleneck. Like, there's just so much going on there that I can't
There's a lot going
unpack.
on there. And I think Anji, ever since Plus R, because in Plus R, I would say, like, his, like, overall outfit was the most plain out of all the characters in Plus R. But he still carries this elegance because it is so simple yet so recognizable from afar.
And I really like that he's just wearing socks and sandals in every single iteration. Like, why is he wearing those socks?
I have something to say about this.
Yeah?
Those are not socks, they are shoes designed to look like socks.
Wait,
I'll
what?
I'll see if I can find the images that I took of them when
Oh
I
my
was
god,
like...
no, wait, I'm walking right now, I can see it. These are like...
Yeah,
What the
I like
fuck?
to call them his traditional Jordan Geta.
I never noticed this before. Oh my god, my entire world is changing.
Yeah, I'll drop some images to put like on screen for the podcast right now eventually, but
Yeah.
they are so messed up because they are built like sneakers, they look like socks and geta, and they are the worst thing I have ever seen in a long time.
Anji, I support your like decision to, choose your own appearance and things like that, but Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this?
They also have like a titty window for the top of his feet. I will stress this.
For those enjoyers out there.
On the subject of that, I am very shocked that in asking that question that none of the replies that we received for what is your favorite element of Anji's design was just not simply the tits.
True. They're good ones.
I've got the trans scar mod on right now, and it's like, even still,
That's the one. I made that one.
you made that?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I was using it this whole time.
That's awesome.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's like one of the first things I learned how to do. My awesome and good friend Morg, he let me, like, I sent him the files, he exported them, and it was an awesome little collaboration. I just love being able to give the joys of transgender Anji to the people.
I am experiencing the joys, and I am the people. Thank you so much. It makes me very happy.
You'll love to see it. Also here, I finally sent those images. Do you see what we're dealing with here with his shoes?
I gotta check on my phone. I'll put it up on
They're
screen.
strapped to his feet. 2 different places. There's a hole at the top of his feet. It's the
Oh
straps
my
on his
God.
sandals for his toes aren't doing anything. They're just there.
What is going on here? Huh.
You guys remember that tier list, like, rating shoe game in Guilty Gear Strive?
Yes.
These are at the bottom.
100%.
I've played this character essentially since launch. I played him a little bit in the second beta, and from then on, in Strive at the very least, I never thought to look at them, and I never want to look at them again.
I genuinely thought they were socks this whole time. I can't believe he's so much of a poser that he is pretending to wear socks and sandals like a fucking jock. I guess you could say that's part of his character too. Like, even in his shoes, he is lying, but it's all about
Another
self-expression.
one of my trademark complete lies.
I remember I believe in Plus R, they were like actually like socks with the sandal over.
They were.
I don't want to see this many straps on a sandal.
Something happened
Criminal.
Something happened here. Oh god, do you think Anji was the one that gave Asuka shoe recommendations?
here. Probably.
Asuka actually has kind of cool kicks, I'm not gonna lie. They look like, like dad New Balances.
Does that mean Asuka looked at Anji, saw the travesty of shoes, and was like, that's preposterous, watch this? At least Chip
Okay,
has the
but
decency to wear the
You're
sandals
gonna tell me
correctly.
that Asuka, in all of his neurodivergent glory, would not look at the worst pair of shoes you've ever seen and be like, yeah, that one.
You think Anji in all of his neurodivergent glory wouldn't look at any man and be like, yeah, that one?
Yeah!
If you look at the other footwear in Guilty Gear, all the other male characters are wearing dress shoes.
Yeah.
They're wearing some kind of like formal footwear or some kind of dress shoes, save for Chip. He's wearing like actual sandals, but everyone else is wearing a dressy shoe.
Can I take the moment to say that Bridget has the weirdest shoes I've seen in my entire life?
True.
Like, she's got armor on her shoes, and she is so afraid that little piece is gonna come off that she has like 4 belts tying it down to her shoes.
I'm jealous of Delilah's shoes. They look like these demonies I had my eyes on for like a year now.
True.
I love Delilah's shoes, but I also don't get them either, because I looked at hers. She's wearing 2 pairs of socks, but not wearing them as socks. She has glued the socks on top of the boots.
She's so real for that.
Oh, it's
also,
very
I thi-
comfy. I've cosplayed her, and I've worn them myself, and they make me happy.
Ooh.
They look
I-
like just platform Mary Janes, which I absolutely love.
Ooh. Those sound cool. I can't help but think of Anji's shoes and, the general feel of his outfit, and think of that one post that's like, cringy and attention-seeking, like a true borderline.
I think I just realized at this very exact moment that Anji is meant to, or I guess it's the other way around, that Anji is meant to parallel answer in a sense where, as in terms of like Chip's court, where Answer
Yes.
is supposed to know everything and gives that information willingly, but he gives so much that it's meaningless, and Anji knows everything and knows the correct decisions and things to do, but may not tell you it.
Exactly. No, you need to answer Anji's riddles 3 if you want to know his information.
You may solve my
Listen,
riddles.
I need to know. I need to know what he's pondering at all times.
You know, if you
Oh, he's
kind of,
pondering something.
he's got those butterflies. That's kind of like an orb. He's kind of pondering his orb a bit.
Okay, if we're on the subject of his butterflies, can we talk about how he used to be able to summon a dragon for his instant kill?
Oh my
Yes,
god.
that shit was so cool.
It was
I
really
missed
That was
cool.
hard as fuck.
I had wished that they had incorporated something, even so much as alluding to it in Strive, because like I
Yeah.
thought it was so cool, and again, it has that cultural ties to him, and it would have been cool.
I just realized,
but
why
they
does he
can't-
have a koi instead of the dragon that he used to have?
I think he has had the koi before, but I'm not 100% certain
Before.
on that. Don't quote me on that.
It was a different move. It was called Sel, S-L-U,
So
Yeah.
wait, he did have
and so
did he have
he
fish
had
in Plus R?
fishy. He did. It was just a little bit different. It was more so because in Plus R, all of his moves functioned with guard points. It wasn't like that he necessarily had like spin, but he had certain things that if they were hit, you could choose to like guard point it by pressing a button after, and that would be like a
It's kind of interesting in that
retort
respect.
to whatever your opponent did.
Because I know in Plus R, Baiken has armor where she can choose to act out of any kind of block stun, and you have to change up how you play against her. And it kind of feels like Anji is that, but in an offensive kind of way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They were again like characters that had very similar mechanics, so they just kind of worked in the opposite in Plus R.
Do you like how Anji is in Strive compared to Plus R? I know it's a bit of a divisive topic, but...
I would say I feel that the way that they brought him into Strive is fitting for Strive's game mechanics. Because if you were to bring Plus R Anji into Strive, nobody would want to play against this character. I'm so sorry. Like, people already hate playing as him in Plus R, and we have fucking Jam, Twitterverovi and shit. Like,
Have you seen the one Japanese streamer, maybe he's Korean, that plays Anji and has an entire list of rules where it's like, I am a respectful, honorable Anji. I will not use this move. I will not use this move. I will not use this move. If you use this move, I will disconnect. I will not use this move. And it's like, he will only hit, like, normals and certain specials, and if he uses anything else, he sees it as disrespectful, and he counts it as a loss.
this is okay because Plus R Anji is again a character that if you're not well versed in the fighting game in general, yes, you're going to struggle a lot into him. Like I didn't play Plus R. I played Plus R for like about a year, and then Strive was kind of where I decided to dedicate my main focus like competitively. It was the first game that I took like incredibly seriously. I competed
And
in a
I'm
couple
very
of Plus
happy
R
that you
tournaments
did.
for
I
fun.
appreciate your events.
Yeah, and so Plus R was a game that I had played in a couple of tournaments for, but I never did like a crazy deep dive into Anji like I did now for Strive. But even in Plus R, it was just like, oh, he's got this funny little guard point. I like that. Oh, he has counter super. That's cool. He has Psy, and he had a jumping command grab.
Beautiful.
Wait, jumping command grab?
Yes, I did it. I hit it once in bracket, and I remember I did it completely accident. I didn't know I could do it. I just kind of was trying stuff out, in which he had essentially, it looked very similar to Ko, but it was called on. So he would jump up, grab you out of the air, and like shock you, and then because he landed first, he could do Psy under it, the really big fan super. So one of my favorite things to do was to just jumping command grab and then Psy right under you.
Oh, I heard about this on an adventure video essay about Anji, and it was a really good video. I recommend checking it out. That Anji has a taunt that you could like use competitively because it looks exactly like the animation for his other move, and that you could mix up with the taunt. Is that true?
I think so.
In what, in Strive?
No, in a Plus R.
Plus R, I have no idea. I never got like that deep with Anji. I just played him and Ino and Dizzy a lot because they were my favorite characters. And the thing is, I had not expected to see Anji back in Strive, so that's why I picked up very heavily towards right before Strive's release. I picked up Ino and Dizzy extensively because I was like, these are probably going to be the characters that I'm going to play because there's no shot we're getting Anji back. And I believe the next week they reveal Anji, and I cried.
Yeah.
So true.
That makes me really happy, though.
I was so excited. I was like,
I cannot
holy
believe
shit,
they
there's
brought
no
him
way.
back. No offense at all, like, Anji is not the most popular character. I cannot believe he made it into the base roster of Strive. It makes me really
I
happy
was
that, like,
shocked.
that Daisuke remembered this character and liked him enough to include him. Like, it makes me really happy.
Like, it makes my heart so happy to see that, like, again, like, I was, again, nervous because they hadn't even announced Ino yet either. They announced her after
Yeah,
Anji.
she was the last character they announced, right?
Yes, she was. And I was like, because I was so worried. I was like, okay, we have not seen Ino yet. She's probably going to be first DLC, considering waifu characters. She's going to get the waifu tax, probably finally.
Yeah. I was thinking
So
that...
in my head, I was like, okay, Dizzy, she's either going to be first DLC, or she's going to be base roster. So that was, like, kind of why I was geared towards picking up Dizzy.
For a while, I was thinking it was just gonna be Jam. Like, I thought for the longest time, okay, whatever. It's gonna be Jam in the base roster at some point. I'm just gonna give up my hope. But then there she was. Thank you, Ino. Fuck Jam.
Love
I'm
to
sorry,
see it.
everyone.
No, that character, she was a war crime in Plus R.
Really?
Not good optics for the Jam episode.
There's... You can't tell me there's gonna be people that Okay, I mean... there are artists that like Jam a lot. There are people that find, like...
Oh no!
And look, I know,
Not
but
like
the people
that.
that play Jam are very gorilla-like, and they really like her. Like...
Oh my god.
No, they, like, genuinely, she just fucking, like... Jam screams, she runs at you, she kicks you, she beats the shit out of you, and then she, like, that's it. And she does hella damage.
Jam beating the shit out of you, ASMR, 10 hours.
It's the one I
It's just
imagine
her doing
Jam
tough
coming
love.
home and beating me within an inch of my life.
Yes!
I hope they change her voice a bit. I like her, I just don't like
She
that-
has such an annoying voice.
I know.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Playing Plus R and playing against a Jam is the most annoying. She has like a squeal. It's terrible.
She has a squeal, and also she also has like a racist voice too. But also, it's just like I can't listen to. I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it.
Bonus content for let's talk about how much we love Anji episode. Tell us how much you hate Jam episode. we're becoming the evil podcast.
No, okay, no. Positivity.
Next
love,
series, how much
support.
you hate these characters.
Yeah, we'll go backwards through the roster.
I'll
I've
get
got
the characters.
Plenty of information for that. I was the guy who hosted the Guilty Gear polls. I have so much like dirt on how much people hate character.
Wait, what was the most hated character? Was it Happy Chaos?
Yeah, it was the Happy Chaos, and like 3 people
Okay.
mentioned his feet.
Very valid reason to dislike him. I
You know
think.
what?
Real.
You know, forget
Put
all
those
the.
things away.
Forget the genocide, forget the erasure of culture, forget everything. Do you think Anji wants to kill Happy Chaos because Anji has, you know, shoes and on top of shoes, and Happy Chaos is not wearing anything?
Shoe
So
game
I
time
can't
too.
trust this guy. Where are his kicks? You can judge a man by his shoes.
And I think this will be the last topic that I bring up, but let's talk about music and Anji's themes. I really love Rock Parade. I think it is in the top 5
Parade
of me.
was so hard.
It's my number. Hold on, I did this like Spotify Unwrapped thing. That's not Spotify Unwrapped, but it shows you like what you're listening to most. And I think it makes sense that me as an Anji player, my top 2 were 9 Inch Nails and Rock Parade.
Sorry, I'm just imagining like Anji in like a 9 Inch Nails shirt, and he's like sitting there like crying, like this fucking gets me.
Oh, he would love them. Like, I haven't touched upon it much here, but like, you know, I have a lot of headcanons. Everyone has headcanons. Headcanons
course,
are awesome.
yeah.
I personally feel like, as someone who is autistic and who has like BPD, I feel that also applies to Anji. And what I know is that people with borderline personality disorder love 9 Inch Nails.
Is there like a Venn diagram here that I was missing? I didn't know that.
I mean, it's more like so let's say the two halves of or like a 3-way Venn diagram. Top one is 9 Inch Nails fan. Bottom left one is borderline personality disorder. Bottom right one is transgender. Anji Mito is in the middle.
Good for him. Good for him.
Good for him.
But yeah,
No, but
I had a conversation with Jay about this in my private time, and I was wondering how to bring it up in the video itself. But the title, Rock Parade, I've been playing around with it in my head, and I've been trying to figure out exactly what it means. Because think about it, there's no such thing as a rock parade. And Anji, I believe, is the character that says the title of his theme the most. In his song, he is constantly saying, Rock Parade, Rock Parade. He is screaming it out. So it's something that is really deeply important to him. And Jay and I came up with two different interpretations of this. And I came up with the interpretation that rock is something that is very modern, and it's very harsh, too. And that's kind of like representing reality. And, like, this is Anji, an old, like, person that values the past, living in the modern day and adapting to it no matter what. And parades are celebrations, but also for Anji, dancing is such a huge part for him that parades are like, this is how he views his culture. So a rock parade then would be a celebration of the past, like, while looking towards the modern day currently.
Absolutely.
And then Jay had his own really cool interpretation, if you want to say it, Jay.
Before I get to talking about that, I think Lapin just had another thing he wanted to say.
Oh, no, not really. I was just gonna have my own interpretation on that, so I'll let you do yours first.
Yeah, Jay.
Sure. The way that I was looking at it was kind of like a more metafiction angle, where I feel like rock to Daisuke specifically is, you know, just humanity, right? Is freedom, that sense of ordaining your own purpose in life.
Rock is
And so to
expression.
me, what I was reading when I saw Rock Parade is just freedom and celebration, and kind of what we've been hitting on with regards to Anji's character this whole time is him trying to encourage other people to embrace their true selves and to find that among, you know, all the different ways that the world and society tries to obfuscate that from you, to tell them, like, hey, it's okay to live as yourself. Let's try to find that together.
I definitely agree with that. The way I interpret Rock Parade is kind of similar. It's that, you know, rock is like an expression of the self, but mostly I feel as though it's like Rock Parade in and of itself is an expression of, you know, his culture. I see the interpretation of rock as potentially not like music rock, but potentially like anchorage rock, like being someone's rock. Like Anji is the rock for his culture, or the cornerstone of expression of his self and his people.
Oh my god. I think that's really cool that each of us have like that different interpretation of Anji, and even like something as simple as the title of his theme. Like, I think this is exactly, if Anji were real, I think he would be really happy that we are thinking about different interpretations to him, because he presents himself in different ways and he wants people guessing. And I think it's also just very sweet that Anji's theme is about how much he cares about Bike, and he remembers those times from his past, and that he just wants her to be happy, and like, he remembers those moments and he cries, and it's that erasure of culture and wanting to know things about the world that turns him into the trickster. Like, not necessarily a good or bad thing, but someone that is willing to break social convention and move out and like parade around who he is now. Like, Rock Parade feels like such a self-expressive song.
Definitely,
I really love it.
100%.
And I can't talk about Rock Parade without talking about the one section where it brings in the elements of Japanese instruments.
Yes.
It slows down, and it feels like Naoki is like crying as Anji is sitting there like remembering these times and just sitting there sadly like, the promise I made you, the promise I made you. Like, oh my fucking god, I'm so sorry for you, Anji.
Peach, you had something to say, right?
Oh no, I was just like, I absolutely love, again, because culture is a really big part of who Anji is, so I thought it was amazing that they were able to incorporate like traditional instruments to his theme and make it in a way that still sounds fun and still sounds modern and gives it really like that incredibly personal touch that this is who Anji is. That the Rock Parade is not only a celebration of him, it is a celebration of where he's been and of his culture and of everything that he carries with him. Like, he, where it's like, that part where it's like, now a single footstep carries two hearts. Anji's not only carrying his heart on his sleeve, he's carrying everyone else that he knew.
Exactly. He's carrying the heart of his people alongside his own.
That makes me so happy. I absolutely love it.
He's so cool.
Like,
Oh,
I remember seeing when we were first hearing the themes, and I was like, man, Rock Parade's kind of trash. It's like, no, but have you heard Rock Parade?
yeah, have you
you
listened
paid
past...
attention to the lyrics?
To Rock Parade.
I think it's something too that the first like 10 seconds of Rock Parade are really, really aggressive metal guitar, and it's like Anji is like trying to make himself seem as dangerous as possible, and it's really unapproachable in a sense too. But then right after that really aggressive metal guitar, it turns into a very soft and it's like, oh, Anji's silly. He will constantly change up how he is because he is very silly, and he has dark times in his life, but he also has very fun, happy, silly times too. Like, he experiences the breadth of life.
He really does. And one thing I want to point out about the lyrics is that in, you know, the first iteration, like the verse 1 iteration of the pre-chorus, words I want to turn into facts is how it's expressed. But then in the verse 2 pre-chorus, it changes to words I need to turn into facts.
Oh
So
my
that kind
God.
of expresses Anji's need to, you know, make the things that he says to people true.
There's so much emotion even behind saying like things I want to turn, things I need to turn. This isn't like a matter of like question. This is something that must occur, and it's like it's hurting his heart, but it also gives him determination.
He's doing this for his friends, the people he loves, and the people who he belongs to, I feel. He needs them, and wants them, I guess, if we're doing that, to fulfill themselves and express themselves outside of, like, the authoritative hold that the government sort of has on them.
And to also bring up his plus R theme, Fuga, which also translates to elegance. It slaps.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say. It just slaps. I like it a lot.
Goes so hard. But, real quick on the topic of names, Anji's development name, and one name that he's occasionally referred to by, is Hirasawa, which, you know, means brilliance, or brilliance in one's future, which I find really interesting.
I think Anji thinks of himself as a brilliant mind in a sense. Like, I think
Definitely.
I can see Anji as being like a weird fuckboy that's on campus, like of a college, and you think he's goofing off constantly, and he's always around different people, and you're like, does this guy have real friends? He's always around different people and doing this and that. He's got like a fucking boba tea in hand, and then you check, oh, he's actually valedictorian. He's really good.
Yeah.
By the way, what would if Anji were to go to Starbucks, what would be his drink of choice?
Pink drink. You cannot tell me this man would not love insanely sweet and fruity beverages. He gives off aura that he's, oh, I'm
Like,
cool, I love drinking
Strawberry
pure black
acai
coffee."
refresher looking ass.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Now I really want Starbucks. Why did I do this to myself?
No, me too. Oh my god.
Prison of your own creation.
Next time I'm on campus, I'm getting a fucking Starbucks.
Treat yourself, honestly, it's what Anji would want.
Listen, I feel like Anji would totally be a little treat girly. Like, I got up, I got
100%.
dressed, I deserve a little treat.
I deserve a little treat.
I'm having a bad day, I deserve a little treat. I'm having a good day, I deserve a little treat.
If
I
what am
passed
saying?
my
I was gonna say
finals,
if
I
he
deserve a little
has
treat.
cars. They do have cars.
I'm sorry, I'm just sitting here thinking about him being like, well, Chip, that's great answer, that's wonderful. Nago, I'd love to have you around. This is so great that we're all doing this. I deserve a little treat, just a little bit of
Yeah. Anji definitely strikes me as the kind of guy who can't drive. He just like, he either butterfly clouds everywhere or like bikes. So he 100%
He's
gets
just like me
Chip to
for
just
real.
drive him places.
Dude, Chip and Answer just fucking Naruto ninja run everywhere. Like, if anything, they're getting
Yeah, that
Nago.
is implying Chip knows how to drive. I don't think he would, but he still drives.
Dude, they're getting Nago to drive this thing.
Yeah. It's like that, can we get McDonald's, please? And Nago's like, we have McDonald's at home.
We have food at home.
It's so funny because I feel like if Anji was in front of someone else, he might be the black coffee kind of guy. But I think he's also like, oh, is the McDonald's ice cream machine working? You know, just
Just out of curiosity.
Oh man, this is awesome.
I
Oh
love this.
shit! I forgot to mention the last episode got fan art. Maybe I should put it at the start or something. Oh fuck. Well, I was gonna
You
show
put
that
it up
off.
right now.
Yeah, but now we're like an hour. Oh my god, we're 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, started the podcast. It's us from the future. Check out this fan art.
Hooray! Look at how beautiful.
I hope I remember
Yeah,
to put this back in the past.
To play the shitty games that suck ass.
To play the oh fuck.
Just had to throw it in there. Just had to do it.
You know, Anji's had to deal with a lot of angry video game nerds.
Would you categorize Happy Chaos as the first angry video game nerd?
The Anji video game nerd.
Come on, I'm just the angriest gamer you've ever heard.
This is horrible.
I know, I'm sorry. I do not condone the angry video game nerd being being equated to genocide. I am sorry.
Oh my god.
Oh fuck. But yeah, with that, I think we'll start moving into the closing thoughts. Mayra, Lapin, do you guys have anything you need to say about the one and only man himself?
I think I've said all that I need to say. Just remember, Anji is cool. If you like what you've heard so far, I definitely recommend looking into his lore, even if you're not that much of a lore person. He's interesting, he has something for everyone, and I feel as though everybody can sort of see themselves in him.
Mayra, do you have anything to say?
No, I think we covered all our bases. Just play Guilty Gear, play fighting games, play the character you like for whatever reason. We sat here for 2 hours just talking about everything we like about Anji Mito, and I really do think that he's one of my favorite characters that I've ever played. Guilty Gear is one of my favorite games that I've ever played, and I really do. I'm so glad that I get to share this and I get to just enjoy my character.
I'm glad that Guilty Gear has connected me to a whole community of people. I don't talk about it enough, but I went through college for the first 3 years, and I felt completely lost. And also COVID hit, and I was just working from home, and it was just not fun. I had a friend group, but I just never really connected with them that much in college, so I kind of stuck around my high school friend group a lot, and it sucked. But I just picked up fighting games on a whim because the guy I was sitting next to also had characters that I recognized, and this was like, I think around the time Happy Chaos came out, and I was vaguely aware of the lore, so I picked up the games myself. And now I have like an entire community of friends and people that I can meet that like I can go to Vegas and there are people I know there. I can go to like college campus and hang out with people. I have locals to attend, and it makes me so happy. And like I could go online and there's people to connect with about this and that. Like I think the FGC is truly something special. And I think if you like the characters, you should go online and find people that love them too and just talk about it with them. And if you are interested in fighting games, even as a complete casual, I know I suck ass, but I still love them desperately. Go to your locals. I don't care where they are. Go to your locals and talk to the people there and help out and meet people. It's a really wonderful social experience, and it makes me really happy. And I'm glad that like Anji was able to make you guys happy in that kind of way, where that he was your outlet for whatever thing. It makes me really happy.
I'm so thankful for everybody listening right now, and obviously everyone who has come here today to share and talk about him. He's genuinely a great character, and there's a sort of happiness that comes of finding that community. Obviously, I'll say that if you're not able to physically go to, an in-person casual, there's so many excellent, wonderful, lovely streamers who also stream brackets every now and then, so that's also an option for you. There's so many awesome people in this community, as we obviously know. And I highly recommend, as Dee said, even if you're just a casual, enjoy yourself. That's the first thing that comes with it.
Small comment. Mayra, as a TO, do you notice new people coming in constantly? Or, like, do you...
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, one of the greatest things about TOing is literally just meeting people. It has been one of the most fulfilling things I've done since leaving high school, and it is something that has brought me so much joy to just meet new people and just have people like thank me for running the event and say, oh my god, I'm just doing my job, but thank you for coming. Like,
you run a good event. It makes me very happy.
I know, and it's so refreshing to see new faces every Iron Grid, and like, it feels even better to see those people come back month after month. And it really does make me feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile and is meaningful to others and not just myself.
Yeah, literally last Iron Grid I saw you like chatting it up with like the Psycho Summit guy, and that is like a person from like a completely different part of the state that you were just chatting with because you both had the same interest in things, and we're talking about like, oh yeah, how do you run your event? Oh well, I run my event like this, X, Y, or Z, and that like that's so cool that that kind of connection exists.
Oh yeah, as a tournament organizer, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to not only network, but also just learn from other TOs. And no TO will ever gatekeep tech from you. Like, if you ask someone how they're running their event, they will probably let you in and tell you, hey, oh yeah, these are the setups we use. This is the monitor we're using. I really like this a lot. These are the cables we use, etc. Like, I had someone let me know that the Brook adapters I was using were out of date, and I would have never found that out had he not told me. And he's like, yeah, you gotta update these. And I'm like, oh my god,
I
I mean that
had
as
no
soon
idea
as
they
I
had to
get
be
home.
updated.
But yeah, and so that's one of the best things we can do is just help each other out. And like, it is really great that I have such a good surrounding area, and like New Jersey and New York especially, the TOs are so tight knit that we all just kind of talk to each other, and we just DM each other like, hey, what are you doing about this? Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a FOST bug that if you defensive shield his banana, it crashes the game.
Yeah. I was talking about that before this even started, but they're taking that out September 4th.
Oh yes, they are, hopefully, and I'm so glad that they've responded so quickly to it. But when we were still in the, oh my god, how long is it going to take Arxis to deal with this, I was already talking to other TOs, like, hey, what are you guys' opinions? How are we going to delegate this? Because I have a tournament coming up in 2 weeks. So
Did you
I
see,
didn't know if it was going to fix by then.
Did you see someone hit that on Apology Man in finals of his local?
No, that was the video that brought it up to my attention, that was like, oh my god, somebody can do this intentionally to crash the game.
Also, that dude ended up winning his set, which is bullshit.
That's the thing. That's why, like, again, all the TOs, we put our heads together. We were like, okay, what's the ruling on this? How are we going to address this? Should this happen at our locals? And thankfully, we didn't have to scratch our heads for too long because Arxis was like, hey, we're hopefully taking this out September 4th.
Yeah. Hopefully they also fix the other assortment of problems, such as Hacker Man.
Yeah, little by little, they are definitely getting much better with communication. I feel like they definitely took a note from Street Fighter and the very quick resolution to the issues.
Okay, and with that, I think that's the end of the Anji Love Talk podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I will tell Saki thank you too. I know she was very busy, and I hope she didn't feel too awkward. But I really did value her gameplay experience, and I really did value the things that you guys provided as well. It makes me really happy to be able to sit down and talk with you guys. Jay, do you have any last comments? I didn't actually ask you.
Oh no, it's totally fine. I was just gonna say really quick, I think it's really resonant what everybody has been saying here with regards to Anji as a character too, that, you know, be your own person, but also that nobody exists in a vacuum. There's always people to reach out to learn something from, and to be more enriched as a person. So get out there, love yourself, and love people.
Alright, bye everyone, have a great night!
See ya, thank you!
For having me.
Bye everybody.
Hold the sound